Hello YouTube, this is Volkia Lion, coming to you pre-record from his camper. In developing the Chaldean worldview, one of the main obstacles in structuring apparatuses that I wanted to tackle was education. In any other worldviews, education is treated as a means of control and suppression, training people to be rigid in the knowledge that they were taught in their schooling. The first question I want to ask is that a bad thing? There's a reason why everyone does it. There's a reason why it has survived the way it has for, as far as I know, for thousands of years. It doesn't matter what my personal feelings are. What matters are the results, and frankly, they appear to be mediocre at best. I know this because the most successful people in American society rarely come from a place of academia. They are self-taught academics, but not so in the official capacity. I also know this just from my own personal experience. I have learned more now about language, economics, philosophy, business, history, etc. than I ever wanted to in school, and I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that. So, as I do with everything on this channel, I decided to look at our education system through the lens of Chaldeanism and astrology, and, surprise, surprise, I believe it's all backwards. Here's why. Our education system is a Saturnian-based system. Saturn represents control, confinement, suppression, and structure. The Dirgic Lord is heavy, thick, and represents struggling upwards against weight. It's about negativity and the struggle and wallowing in it. To learn prudence, in other words. And when applying this to an education system, you can see the similarities. Narrow and confined curriculum, rigid structuring. You never feel like you're not constantly struggling against the curriculum in some way. All of this is an attempt to pass a test by the end of the lesson. A small, insignificant test that is about memorization and copy-pasting rather than actually figuring it out. It's stuck within the boundaries of your memory instead of utilizing your unlimited imagination to figure out the problem. Even tests that don't do this exactly, nursing is an example, still work under this system. The entire curriculum is built around memory, but then throws you into a loop by using they're all the correct answer, but only one is the most correct answer, testing type. It's a half measure to try to use imagination and failing at it miserably by basing it on what the academics believe is the right answer. It's still trying to train you to think in terms of a compartmentalized system rather than how nursing actually works. Observation, execution, analysis as you go, relying more on instinct and experience with help from book knowledge, not relying purely off of book knowledge and then applying A answer to B problem and then getting C result. This is how our education system works. From Chaldeanism/astrological perspective, the education system needs to be based on Jupiter. Jupiter represents growth, expansion, exploration in any area you can think of. The jovial lord is also traditionally associated with authorship, writing, philosophy, and the like. It's primarily associated with the pursuit of positivity and joy. Its two zodiac signs, Pisces and Sagittarius, are both mutable signs and, like all mutable signs, are considered to be the brainchild of their respective elements/pylons. Sag is more about exploration and the gaining of knowledge from many different perspectives. It wants to have the experience that the world will teach it and the freedom to go out and do so. It's a very instinctual sign associated with the centaur or horse that corresponds with the sign's tendency to just figure it out as you go, rather than fully relying on a developed curriculum to show you how to do it. Pisces is the same, but in the opposite direction, preferring introspection and analyzing the motions of the consciousness and subconsciousness. It's more about being unintuned with the world around you so as to understand the depth of it rather than the pure breadth. Pisces is more similar to Saturn in this way, preferring to abstain from things, but so as to deepen their experience and expansion, to grow broad and downward, in other words, not broad and upward like Sag. So how does this apply to schooling? It first needs to be stated that, as was the case with Chaldean economics, it's a one-based system, forming the tip of the natural order pyramid and therefore forms a foundation and a board to which all lords build and converse upon. Just like with economics and Saturn, however, Jupiter forms the point of rulership and reference for how this board game should function. The education system has to be based off of real life experience above all else, a master-student dynamic, or a guru-shishya, as the Vedics would call it. It makes sense considering that mankind has more or less evolved this way for millions of years. The students have to be able to experiment and experience the world around them, play with their ideas or the concepts that they have in mind, much like how I'm doing with Chaldeanism. This does not change based off of your age, by the way. If anything, your personal growth as a person depends more on how you choose to grow with your knowledge rather than the knowledge being forced upon you like it is in a typical schooling. Students need to have absolute freedom to explore, and they need the ability to explore all that can be explored. How this would look exactly will come in future videos. There is a bit more structure to it. It's not just a free-for-all, but even the structuring will be fairly loose, focusing on how is this useful to me or anybody else, rather than you must learn this or you don't pass. The education system will also be made not in the pursuit of prudence, as is the case with Saturn, vacillating between the concept of duty and sloth, but rather in the pursuit of purpose, honing in on a person's greed and abstinence to better direct them towards said purpose. In order to find that, obviously the education system's main goal is to find what stimulates and brings joy to the apprentice, even if the apprentice can't focus and bounces around to many different subjects. That's perfectly fine, so long as their greed is stimulated in the right way. This also goes for apprentices who don't do such a thing, who stick with only one thing or even don't do anything at all. Let them be. Over time, I hypothesize that the apprentice will gradually calm down or rise up and pick a proper direction for themselves, as long as they know that there is a world out there for them to pick from. I imagine that Neptune will also play a role in this dynamic, but we'll have to see what I come up with when I do the other videos on this subject. All in all, education should be viewed more as kind of what it has become today. A participation activity where you can't really go bad or good. It's all dependent on how much you want to learn and grow in it. That's what matters, and that's what separates it from education now. It's about you, the individual, taking from it what you want and discarding the rest. What you end up with, however, is all on you. That's what education should be about. The freedom to rise and fall and be okay with that and get back up and do it again. You keep going until one day the apprentice finds their purpose and becomes the master, so that they can pass down what they have learned to their apprentice after them. Thank you, dear listener. If you like the video of my writing, I suggest checking out my library on Facebook through Google Cloud. My book, Warren, is a set of stories placed in the world of Warren and heavily influenced by many different ideas and beliefs that I hold in both high regard and close to my heart. Again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to lecturing you again in the next video. Bye.